Perhaps a more cheerful topic than the previous one, or perhaps not. That's for you to decide. But I've noticed something interesting over the past few years, and I've noticed something interesting this year, the current year, as they say, 2017, with regards to the gaming industry. Now, for years, it's very much seemed the case that gaming publishers and even gaming developers have very much played the roles of politicians. And by that I mean they lie and promise all sorts of things, and they do so in an effort to get you to buy the game, just as politicians lie and promise all sorts of things in an effort to get you to vote for them. And when they get in an office, how much of those promises are made good on? I think you might see where I'm going here. How many of those promises that game developers make are made good on? It's staggering and mind-blowing. When I could just think off the top of my head of half a dozen games where this was the case. Most prominent of which, of course, is Mass Effect Andromeda, which is a bloody mess. Even multiplayer, which I enjoy a great deal, is so buggy, the weapon balance is completely off, and never mind single player, which is just probably irredeemable. After nigh 5 years of promises, or perhaps a year or two to be more accurate. Deus Ex Mankind Divided. Lots of promises, very disappointing. Artificially tacked on DLC. For Honor, which I had played a little bit and then I returned it. I didn't really enjoy it because of controls. Recently, the gaming community there, if you want to call it that, called a community-wide blackout to boycott the game for at least a day, 24 hours. And by all accounts, it went on further than that, in an effort to get Ubisoft to address some of these issues that crop up in the game, which are too numerous to mention here. Problems with Overwatch, etc., etc. It just seems that... Ghost Recon, Wildlands, regarded by many as a failure. The Division, which is practically in retirement now. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And there seem to be few and far between publishers that actually, and developers for that matter, that actually don't follow this principle of, we'll promise you an amazing game, here's a pile of shit, deal with it. But until now, it seems that people have just been taking it up the ass, metaphorically or otherwise. Like, another shitty title. I think they're on Assassin's Creed 13,721.95 by now, maybe. People just, they eat it up. They buy it over and over and over and over and over. And this has been the case for a long time now. But it seems to me now in the current year, in 2017, that things have become so egregious and grave in the gaming industry that the player base of even these very sort of average pedestrian people that just accept whatever are uncritical, even they're becoming critical. You see this in particular with regards to Mass Effect Andromeda, that even diehard fans are somewhat critical, and people who just normally really enjoy the series are actually fairly crushed by it, by what appeared to be an unfinished product that has been released. And then you have this protest against Ubisoft, and maybe this is the start of something. Maybe, unlike every other industry in the world, it seems, maybe for the first time, game publishers and developers will respond to customers, players, by customers finally not investing their money. I mean, you got to hit them where it hurts. There's a guy named Young Ye, this guy, Korean American, I believe. Anyway, this guy who makes videos about games, and he said you got to hit them where it hurts. Complaining to developers doesn't hurt. We'll hit them where it hurts in terms of the pocketbook. Well, okay. It just seems that people are so fed up now, including myself, that I'm either done with most companies, and a lot of people are, or maybe people finally listen, because I, for one, and I think a lot of other people, have absolutely had it with this endless array of promises about things that will be amazing, only for the final product to be pretty disappointing. And like I said, I can think of half a dozen titles off the top of my head. And there are probably more if I gave it even more thought. Because up until now, yeah, the gaming industry has just been churning out crap 90% of the time. And people still buy it. I mean, they're doing what they want to do. And to some extent, they should. I mean, I'd argue that CD Projekt Red does what it wants to do. At the same time, they're delivering a product people really enjoy. So they're kind of doing what we want them to do, and they're doing what they want to do. Other publishers and developers like Bethesda are doing what they want to do, developing 5 IPs simultaneously. No, that's not going to contribute to the denigration and degradation of other titles. Elder Scrolls, a beloved title in the eyes of many, in the minds of many, in the hearts of many. So it's interesting, I think, and should be noted that, yeah, this year could actually be different at the beginning of something completely new. No longer will game developers and publishers be the politicians of the 21st century. They might actually be held accountable. And I think, once again, using the analog of, or the analogy of the politician, you know, if a politician spews too much nonsense and bullshit, or he does something that just sort of totally, you know, is just out of this world in terms of just how horrendous it is or controversy. I mean, they do get called out on it, and they can have their political career ended. There's a kind of barometer for that, and there's a limitation there. So you can lie, you can do the politician's trade for a while, but if you push those limits too far, eventually you will be called out and you will be made to answer for your actions. And I think that's what's happening with the gaming industry. People are just fed up with churning out average at best to deeply flawed, unpolished shit, despite all the promises made prior. And maybe this time around, and I think in a lot of ways, Mass Effect Andromeda is kind of the, I guess I should say, the catalyst for all of this, because it's so unpolished and has been so ruinous to that particular IP that, yeah, maybe we're going to actually start seeing some real changes in the gaming industry in general. They will actually listen to their customer base. And all these minor things like the For Honor protest, the blackout, what have you, could be signs of the times. And I really hope so, because there's so many games that I've been disappointed with that I went in thinking, oh yeah, but what can you do? Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. I guess you could say this is a more cheerful topic than the previous one, because, you know, this means maybe things are changing. No more broken promises, or not as many at least, and maybe the politicians, the game developers and game publishers will be held to account. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. I will check you out later. Enjoy the rest of your week, and bye-bye. If you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you enjoy my content, please consider making a donation or becoming a patron. Thanks for watching.